In today's rapidly evolving world, it seems like change is happening faster than ever before. As we look around, we can see shifts in every aspect of our lives: technological, cultural, and even spiritual. It's almost as if we are in the midst of a great transformation, one that echoes many of the warnings we find in ancient texts. One such text, the Bible, has long predicted a time when society would face unprecedented challenges: moral decay, and spiritual upheaval. These signs were once considered symbolic or distant, but today, many believe that we are witnessing these prophecies unfold before our eyes. The Bible speaks of the end times, a period marked by the rise of self-centeredness, greed, and a departure from the values of love, respect, and kindness. The moral fabric of society is being torn apart, and we are seeing increasing examples of selfishness, dishonesty, and a lack of empathy. As our communities become more fragmented, we are left wondering if we are heading down a path of inevitable destruction. For many, the concept of the end times may sound like a distant or abstract idea. However, in recent years, there has been an unmistakable shift in the way we view the world. From the way we interact with each other to the way we govern our societies, there are clear indicators that we are witnessing a moral and spiritual decline. The question is no longer whether these signs exist, but rather, how far along are we in the process? In this video, we will take a closer look at some of the most troubling developments that point to the fulfillment of these biblical warnings, specifically focusing on the alarming moral and spiritual decline happening around the globe. We will explore these changes, from societal behaviors to cultural events, and try to understand how they reflect the deeper truth behind the prophecies about the end times. One of the most prominent signs of the end times that many believers and scholars point to is the moral and spiritual decline that is evident in our society today. The Bible speaks about a time when people would become lovers of themselves, turning away from moral values and rejecting the teachings of God. In 2 Timothy 3 verses 1 to 5, it warns that people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. When we examine the world around us, it is not difficult to see these traits becoming increasingly prevalent. In both public and private spheres, people are becoming more self-centered, putting their desires and pleasures before the well-being of others. This shift has permeated not only the personal realm but also the public domain, where we often witness a disregard for common decency, empathy, and moral responsibility. The family, once the cornerstone of societal structure and moral guidance, has also been significantly impacted by this decline. The traditional values that once held families together, such as respect for authority, loyalty, and responsibility, are now often replaced by a culture of individualism, self-gratification, and entitlement. The breakdown of the family unit has contributed to an erosion of moral standards, with the consequences being felt across generations. Children grow up in environments where discipline and respect are less emphasized, and as a result, many face a distorted sense of right and wrong. Moreover, our culture has shifted its focus from spiritual fulfillment to materialism and the pursuit of fleeting pleasures. The entertainment industry, often a reflection of societal values, has become a breeding ground for messages that glorify violence, promiscuity, greed, and the glorification of self. Music, movies, television shows, and social media platforms are filled with content that promotes behaviors contrary to biblical teachings. The normalization of these values has led to an entire generation being raised without a strong foundation of faith or moral compass, resulting in confusion about what is truly right or wrong. The rise of secularism and relativism has further contributed to this moral decline. In a world where truth is often seen as subjective and personal, it becomes difficult to maintain any universal standard for behavior. As society moves further away from religious principles, people are left to define morality on their own terms. which often leads to contradictions and confusion. The Bible warns that in the last days, people will be lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And we can certainly see how our culture increasingly prioritizes entertainment, self-fulfillment, and instant gratification over spiritual growth and connection with the divine. Additionally, the decline in religious participation and commitment is another key factor contributing to the moral and spiritual decline. Churches are seeing a steady decrease in attendance, and fewer people are identifying with organized religion. This shift is often attributed to the rise of secularism, the availability of alternative beliefs, and a general sense of disillusionment with traditional institutions. Without the spiritual foundation that faith provides, many individuals are left searching for meaning in superficial pursuits, contributing to the further erosion of moral values. This moral and spiritual decline is not confined to any one nation or culture. It is a global phenomenon. As the world becomes more interconnected, we are witnessing a widespread trend of moral decay that transcends borders. From the breakdown of social structures to the rise of corruption and injustice, the signs of a fallen world are becoming ever more apparent. The Bible is clear that this decline is not only a sign of the end times, but also a warning of the consequences of turning away from God. It serves as a call to return to faith, to rebuild moral foundations, and to live in alignment with the divine principles that bring life and healing to our world. As we continue to witness these troubling changes, it becomes all the more urgent to reflect on the state of our hearts, our families, and our societies, and to seek restoration in the face of moral. A concrete example that illustrates the societal shifts and moral concerns discussed in the End Times narrative is the upcoming Paris Olympics 2025. While the Olympic Games traditionally symbolize unity, athletic excellence, and global cooperation, there are aspects of the 2025 event that have sparked significant debate and raised concerns about how societal values and priorities are evolving in the context of these global spectacles. The Paris Olympics are set to be a grand celebration of sports and culture, showcasing the achievements of athletes from all over the world. However, as the event draws closer, several troubling trends and controversies have emerged that reflect the deeper moral and spiritual issues prevalent in society today. One of the most concerning aspects of the Paris Olympics 2025 is the increasing commercialization of the Games. While the Olympic Games have always been a global platform for sponsors, advertisers, and media, the 2025 event marks a significant shift towards profit-driven motives that seem to overshadow the spirit of sportsmanship and international solidarity. The vast sums of money involved, the constant push for corporate sponsorships, and the commercialization of every aspect of the event, from merchandise to ticket sales, raise questions about the true purpose of the Games. Is it about promoting athletic excellence and unity, or has it become just another avenue for profit-making, where the human spirit is secondary to financial interests? In the context of the end times narrative, this prioritization of money and material wealth over human values such as fair competition, respect, and equality speaks to a larger moral decline. The Bible warns against the love of money and the pursuit of worldly wealth at the expense of righteousness. 1 Timothy 6 verse 10. The overwhelming commercialization of the Paris Olympics reflects this very trend, as the event becomes more about profits and sponsorships than about promoting values of purity, perseverance, and mutual respect among nations. Another significant issue surrounding the Paris Olympics is the increasing trend toward political activism and ideological battles taking place within the event. While the Olympic Games have long served as a space for athletes to represent their countries and compete in the spirit of friendly rivalry, the 2025 Olympics are expected to be a battleground for political statements and activism. Athletes and activists are already using the platform of international sports competitions to promote causes, from climate change to social justice, gender equality, and LGBTQ+ rights. While advocacy for important social issues is vital, the increasing politicization of the Games raises concerns about the focus shifting from sportsmanship to social and ideological battles. In the context of spiritual and moral decline, the rise of political activism in such high-profile international events can be seen as a sign of the growing divide between different worldviews. The Bible speaks about the end times as a period of division and conflict, where individuals and nations will clash over ideologies, values, and beliefs. Matthew 24 verses 6 to 7. The Olympic Games, once a symbol of unity, are becoming more fragmented, with athletes, nations, and spectators using the event as a platform to promote their own agendas, further exacerbating the polarization that characterizes much of the modern world. The inclusion of controversial issues, such as the acceptance of transgender athletes in women's sports, has also sparked widespread debate in relation to the Paris Olympics 2025. While inclusion and equality are important values, the decision to allow individuals who were biologically male to compete in women's events has raised significant ethical questions. Critics argue that this creates an uneven playing field and compromises the integrity of women's sports. The debate reflects larger societal questions about gender identity, biological realities, and the protection of fair competition, all of which are sources of contention in today's culture. Furthermore, the Paris Olympics are also set to highlight the ongoing challenges of global inequality and the exploitation of vulnerable populations. While the event is billed as a celebration of global unity, there are concerns about the local population being displaced to make room for Olympic infrastructure, the exploitation of low-wage workers to build the stadiums, and the environmental impact of such a massive undertaking. These issues reflect a wider moral dilemma. How can a society truly claim to champion unity and inclusivity while simultaneously contributing to inequality, displacement, and environmental degradation? This mirrors the Bible's teachings about the importance of justice, compassion, and care for the marginalized. Proverbs 31 verses 8 to 9 calls for speaking up for those who cannot speak for themselves. And many critics argue that the Paris Olympics, in its pursuit of grandeur and spectacle, may be ignoring the voices of those who are most vulnerable in the process. The glorification of the event, coupled with the exploitation that underpins its execution, is a stark reminder of how easily society can overlook the needs of the marginalized in the pursuit of glory and prestige. The rise of secularism, along with the focus on self-empowerment and individual rights, further complicates the situation. In an increasingly post-Christian world, where many no longer adhere to a moral framework grounded in biblical principles, events like the Paris Olympics become a reflection of the broader societal shift away from objective moral standards. The Games, once intended to foster unity and peace, have become a stage for a multitude of competing values, none of which are based on a universal moral code. The events leading up to the Paris Olympics 2025 serve as a poignant example of how the world is grappling with issues of morality, spirituality, and human values in a rapidly changing global landscape. From the commercialism and politicization of the Games to the ethical debates surrounding gender and inclusion, the Paris Olympics are a microcosm of the broader moral and spiritual decline observed in contemporary society. As we move closer to 2025, it is crucial to reflect on the direction in which our world is heading and to consider how we can address these issues, both individually and collectively, to restore integrity and righteousness to the global stage. In examining the moral and spiritual decline of the modern world, the Bible offers numerous warnings that are remarkably applicable to contemporary society, including the societal issues illuminated by the upcoming Paris Olympics 2025. As the world embraces a direction focused on materialism, self-interest, and political ideologies, the timeless teachings of Scripture resonate more than ever. The Bible presents a clear vision of the consequences of turning away from God's moral standards, and these warnings can help illuminate the dangers we face in today's culture. One of the most significant biblical warnings about moral and spiritual decline can be found in 2 Timothy 3 verses 1 to 5. Where the Apostle Paul describes the characteristics of people in the last days. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. This passage vividly outlines the selfish, materialistic, and morally bankrupt attitudes that will pervade society in the final days, making it a powerful reflection of the world we live in today. The Bible's warning about people being lovers of themselves captures the essence of modern society's obsession with self. In a world where individualism and personal gain are prioritized, it is easy to see how society has adopted this mindset. The Olympic Games, once a symbol of global unity and sportsmanship, are now embroiled in issues such as commercialization and political activism, which prioritize personal agendas over the common good. Just as the passage from 2 Timothy warns about people becoming lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, we can see how the drive for profit and the pursuit of personal beliefs and agendas overshadow the values of unity, fairness, and righteousness that should underpin such a global event. Another key warning from the Bible relates to the dangers of materialism and greed. Jesus teaches in Matthew 6 verse 24 that no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. This principle reminds us that when we prioritize wealth and material gain above all else, we lose sight of what truly matters. In the case of the Paris Olympics, the overwhelming commercialization of the Games is an example of how the pursuit of wealth has distorted the original ideals of the Olympics. The Games are becoming increasingly about profit and sponsorships, where corporate interests are prioritized over the celebration of athleticism and unity. Furthermore, the Bible offers caution against the dangers of pride and self-exaltation. Proverbs 16 verse 18 warns, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." This scripture speaks directly to the increasing ego-driven behaviors seen within global events, including the Olympics. When athletes and nations turn the event into a platform for political statements and personal agendas, they risk diminishing the very values of humility and sportsmanship that are meant to shine through in competition. The growing trend of using the Games for ideological battles, whether political or social, reflects an underlying arrogance, where the focus shifts away from mutual respect towards self-centeredness. As the Games approach, one must consider whether this shift towards prideful self-promotion and ideological division could lead to the unraveling of the Games' original purpose. The Bible also offers strong words about the consequences of ignoring justice and righteousness, particularly in relation to how we treat the vulnerable and the marginalized. In Proverbs 31 verses 8 to 9, we are reminded, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy." The moral decline represented in the growing inequality, exploitation, and environmental degradation surrounding the Paris Olympics 2025 highlights the failure to uphold justice for all people. The displacement of individuals for the sake of infrastructure and the exploitation of vulnerable workers for the construction of Olympic venues echo the Bible's warning that ignoring the needs of the marginalized will lead to spiritual downfall. The Bible's emphasis on justice and fairness challenges us to ask whether the pursuit of grandeur in the Olympics is worth the suffering of those who are left behind. The concept of defending the rights of the poor and needy can be applied to the workers, displaced families, and communities who will bear the brunt of the Olympic preparations. In a world where exploitation is often hidden beneath the glitter of grandeur, the Bible's call to speak up for justice resonates as a vital reminder of how we must address the disparities that persist in society today. Additionally, the Bible speaks to the dangers of compromising truth in favor of worldly opinions and ideologies. In 2 Timothy 4 verses 3 to 4, Paul warns that in the last days, the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. The rise of political activism at the Paris Olympics, where social issues such as climate change, LGBTQ+ rights, and gender politics will likely take center stage, reflects this very trend. In the pursuit of societal progress, truth often becomes distorted in the name of personal or political ideologies. The dangers of prioritizing subjective truth over objective righteousness are clearly illustrated in the controversies surrounding gender and inclusion in sports. The Bible calls us to be discerning and to hold firm to the truth, especially when the world around us embraces falsehoods and half-truths. As the Olympics become more entangled in debates about political correctness and ideological divides, the call to uphold God's truth and morality is ever more pertinent. While society may argue for inclusivity and equality, the biblical understanding of truth cannot be bent to accommodate every personal or political agenda. In conclusion, the warnings presented in the Bible about moral and spiritual decline resonate deeply with the current state of the world, particularly in the context of global events such as the Paris Olympics 2025. From the rise of self-centeredness and materialism to the exploitation of the vulnerable and the compromise of truth, the biblical principles guide us in understanding the consequences of turning away from God's standards. As the world continues to grapple with these issues, it is crucial to reflect on the wisdom of Scripture and the warnings it offers for a society that has increasingly chosen to follow its own desires instead of God's moral compass. Selfishness and materialism have increasingly dominated global culture, shaping everything from individual behavior to large-scale societal practices, including events like the Paris Olympics 2025. These two forces have permeated almost every aspect of modern life, transforming the way people view success, relationships, and even global events. The Olympic Games, once a beacon of unity and international peace, have now become enmeshed in the complex web of commercialism, competition for profits, and ideological battles. In this context, the Olympic Games provide a stark example of how selfishness and materialism are often intertwined, as they serve as a microcosm of the larger social issues that plague society today. At the heart of materialism lies the desire for wealth, power, and possessions. Materialism is not just the accumulation of goods, but a mindset that equates happiness and success with the acquisition of material wealth. This view has created a culture where individuals and organizations often make decisions based on financial gain rather than moral or ethical considerations. It is no surprise that the Olympics, with its massive economic impact and global audience, have become an attractive platform for corporations seeking exposure and influence. In recent decades, the Games have been commercialized to such an extent that they no longer represent purely athletic excellence or global cooperation, but instead have become an arena for lucrative deals and sponsorships. The drive for profit and personal gain has led to the increased privatization and commercialization of the Olympics. Corporate sponsors and media conglomerates now hold more power over the event's structure and outcomes than the athletes themselves. The Olympics have become a spectacle where advertising and branding dominate, reducing the original ideal of athletic competition into a marketing opportunity. Sponsorships, exclusive broadcasting rights, and merchandise sales have turned the Games into a multi-billion-dollar industry, leading many to question whether the true spirit of the Olympics, the celebration of human potential and international unity, is being overshadowed by the relentless pursuit of financial success. This materialistic approach is evident not only in the commercialization of the Games, but also in the way individual athletes and nations are treated. The Olympics, which were originally designed to bring nations together in peaceful competition, have evolved into a stage for personal and national pride, often driven by the desire to win at any cost. Athletes are increasingly seen as commodities, marketed not only for their athletic prowess, but also for their ability to drive sales, viewership, and sponsorships. This shift in perspective has led to a situation where the athlete's personal journey and the pursuit of excellence are overshadowed by the pressures of brand partnerships, endorsement deals, and the commercialization of their image. In addition, the emphasis on material success is visible in the infrastructure projects surrounding the Olympics. The construction of stadiums, transportation networks, and other Olympic-related infrastructure often comes at a significant environmental and social cost. For instance, the Paris Olympics 2025 is projected to require massive investments in infrastructure development, which raises concerns about the long-term sustainability and impact on local communities. The construction of these projects frequently results in the displacement of marginalized communities, environmental degradation, and the prioritization of profit over people. In this context, the pursuit of material success, embodied in the form of shiny new stadiums and other Olympic infrastructure, often comes at the expense of social justice, equity, and the well-being of vulnerable populations. The focus on material gain also manifests in the way countries approach the Olympics. Governments often invest enormous amounts of public funds to host the Games, seeing it as an opportunity for national prestige and economic gain. However, this investment often results in massive debt for the host nation, with little long-term economic benefit. In many cases, the promised economic boosts from tourism and business development fail to materialize, while the costs of maintaining Olympic infrastructure remain long after the Games have ended. This phenomenon can be seen in previous host cities, where post-Olympic white elephants and used and undermaintained Olympic venues serve as a reminder of the misplaced priorities and the excessive cost of chasing material success at any cost. Selfishness, on the other hand, is an internal force that prioritizes one's own desires and well-being over the needs of others. It is a mindset that values individual gain, power, and status at the expense of others. In the context of the Paris Olympics 2025, selfishness is evident in the way certain groups use the Games as a platform to further their own agendas, without regard for the broader social, political, and environmental consequences. Politicians, corporations, and even athletes themselves may engage in actions that place their personal interests ahead of the collective good, leading to a moral and spiritual decline in the ethos of the Games. One of the most obvious manifestations of selfishness within the Olympics is the way in which the event is often used to advance political agendas. The Olympic Games, intended as a venue for peaceful international competition, have frequently been marred by political protests, boycotts, and controversies. The Paris Olympics 2025 may be no exception, with various groups likely to use the event to make political statements, whether regarding social justice issues, environmental concerns, or human rights abuses. While these issues are undoubtedly important, the focus on using the Games as a political platform detracts from the original goal of bringing nations together through sports. In this sense, selfishness is apparent as individuals and groups seek to gain attention or support for their causes at the expense of the spirit of unity and cooperation that the Olympics were meant to foster. Selfishness is also evident in the way some athletes approach the Games. While many athletes undoubtedly compete for the love of the sport and the pride of representing their countries, there are those who are driven primarily by personal gain, whether that be fame, endorsement deals, or lucrative contracts. The emphasis on individual success, coupled with the enormous pressure to win at all costs, has led to instances of unethical behavior, including doping, cheating, and exploitation of others. These actions are driven by a desire for personal gain, often at the expense of fair competition, integrity, and sportsmanship. The increasing focus on individualism and personal success, rather than on collective achievement and the shared values of the Olympic movement, highlights the corrosive effects of selfishness. As athletes, governments, and corporations prioritize their own interests over the common good, the Olympic Games risk becoming less about the celebration of human achievement and more about the pursuit of wealth, power, and status. In this way, the Olympics, like society as a whole, reflect the dangers of materialism and selfishness, which ultimately lead to moral and spiritual decline. In conclusion, the analysis of selfishness and materialism in the context of the Paris Olympics 2025 reveals how deeply these forces have infiltrated the modern world. The Games, once a symbol of global unity and athletic excellence, are increasingly defined by their commercial value, political agendas, and individual pursuits of power and profit. The consequences of this shift are evident in the ways the Olympics are structured, the behavior of athletes and nations, and the impact on local communities and the environment. As we approach the Paris Olympics, it is important to reflect on the dangers of materialism and selfishness and consider how we might restore the original values of unity, fairness, and selflessness that the games were intended to represent. In contemporary society, there is a noticeable rise in ingratitude, an attitude of failure to appreciate the contributions, sacrifices, and efforts of others. This shift is evident in personal relationships, workplaces, and even on a global scale, where individuals and communities seem increasingly disconnected from the values of thankfulness and appreciation. The culture of ingratitude is not a sudden phenomenon but a gradual transformation that has been growing over time, fostered by societal changes, cultural shifts, and personal attitudes. This rise in ingratitude can be seen in multiple aspects of modern life, from the way people treat each other on a daily basis to the expectations placed on large-scale institutions such as governments, corporations, and even sporting events like the Paris Olympics 2025. At its core, ingratitude is characterized by a lack of acknowledgement or appreciation for the contributions and efforts of others. Ingrate individuals often take things for granted, failing to recognize the sacrifices made by others for their benefit. This behavior is not just an individual trait. It is becoming more ingrained in societal norms. As people increasingly focus on their own needs and desires, the act of recognizing and expressing gratitude seems to be overlooked or undervalued. In this climate, the rise of ingratitude is tied to the broader cultural and moral shifts that have taken place over the last few decades, where self-interest and individualism often take precedence over the common good and mutual respect. The rise of ingratitude is also closely linked to materialism and selfishness. As discussed earlier, when society is driven by the pursuit of wealth, fame, and success, it becomes easy to forget the role that others play in our lives and achievements. In a materialistic world, where the accumulation of possessions and status is the ultimate goal, the value of relationships, mutual support, and collaboration is often overlooked. This attitude is reflected in both personal relationships and larger societal dynamics. For example, in the workplace, individuals may feel entitled to promotions, raises, and recognition without taking into account the efforts and sacrifices of others. Similarly, in social and political spheres, leaders and organizations may fail to recognize the contributions of employees, citizens, or volunteers who work tirelessly behind the scenes. This sense of entitlement, which is a byproduct of materialism and self-centeredness, can lead to a lack of appreciation for the small or big things that others do for us. For instance, in the context of large events such as the Paris Olympics 2025, the contributions of countless workers, from construction crews building stadiums to volunteers assisting athletes, may be forgotten or taken for granted. These behind-the-scenes efforts, which are vital for the success of the event, often go unrecognized, as the focus shifts to the athletes, celebrities, and sponsors that dominate the public eye. The same attitude of ingratitude can be found in other sectors, where the hard work of everyday individuals is overshadowed by the success and recognition of a select few. In the realm of personal relationships, ingratitude has become an increasingly common issue. In many cases, individuals fail to express gratitude to those who have supported them, whether it be family members, friends, or colleagues. The rise of social media and the digital age has exacerbated this problem, as people have become more focused on projecting an image of success and happiness rather than on nurturing authentic relationships. In the quest for likes, followers, and online recognition, individuals may neglect the people who have been there for them in real life. Gratitude, once an essential component of meaningful human connections, has been diminished as the pursuit of superficial validation has taken precedence. This growing lack of gratitude is not only a personal issue but also has wide-reaching consequences for the fabric of society. When individuals and communities fail to recognize the contributions and sacrifices of others, it erodes trust, mutual respect, and cooperation. Societies that are built on gratitude tend to have stronger social bonds and a greater sense of collective responsibility, where people are more inclined to help one another and work together for the common good. On the other hand, a culture of ingratitude leads to isolation, division, and a breakdown in social cohesion. People begin to view each other through the lens of competition and self-interest rather than cooperation and mutual support. One of the reasons for the rise of ingratitude is the growing sense of entitlement that pervades modern society. The idea that we are owed something, whether it be recognition, material possessions, or opportunities, has become deeply ingrained in people's minds. This sense of entitlement often stems from unrealistic expectations and a lack of understanding of the effort and sacrifice required to achieve success. In the context of global events such as the Paris Olympics 2025, entitlement can manifest in various ways. For example, athletes may feel entitled to success and fame without fully acknowledging the hard work of coaches, trainers, and other support staff who have helped them reach their potential. Similarly, corporate sponsors and governments may take credit for the success of the event without recognizing the contributions of the countless individuals who made it possible. Moreover, the rise of social media has further fueled the culture of ingratitude. Platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook have created an environment where individuals constantly seek validation and approval from others. In this digital world, expressions of gratitude are often reduced to likes and comments, which are fleeting and superficial. As a result, people may forget the deeper, more meaningful acts of gratitude that can strengthen relationships and build a sense of community. Social media has also created a space where people can compare themselves to others, which often leads to feelings of dissatisfaction and a lack of appreciation for what they already have. Instead of focusing on the positives and expressing gratitude for the things they are fortunate to have, individuals become fixated on what they lack or what others possess. The societal shift towards ingratitude also has implications for larger-scale events like the Paris Olympics 2025. The focus on material success, profit, and fame often overshadows the contributions of those who are less visible but essential to the event's success. From the construction workers who build the infrastructure to the local communities who provide the support staff and volunteers, the unsung heroes of such global events rarely receive the recognition they deserve. This lack of gratitude for the hard work of others perpetuates the cycle of ingratitude, reinforcing the idea that only the visible, successful few are worthy of appreciation. In conclusion, the rise of ingratitude in modern society is a complex issue that is deeply intertwined with materialism, selfishness, and a growing sense of entitlement. As society becomes more focused on individual success, wealth, and recognition, the value of gratitude diminishes. This shift is evident in both personal relationships and large-scale events like the Paris Olympics 2025, where the contributions of the many are often overshadowed by the success of the few. To reverse this trend, it is essential to cultivate a culture of gratitude, one that values the contributions of others, fosters a sense of community, and promotes mutual respect. By recognizing the importance of gratitude in both our personal and collective lives, we can build a more harmonious and compassionate society. Gratitude and morality are two fundamental aspects of human life that shape our relationships, actions, and overall well-being. They serve as the foundation for building strong communities, fostering empathy, and creating a sense of interconnectedness. Gratitude, as a practice and attitude, allows individuals to recognize the contributions and sacrifices of others, while morality provides the ethical framework for determining right from wrong. Together, these principles play a crucial role in cultivating a harmonious society and enhancing personal growth. Gratitude is a powerful force that goes beyond simply saying thank you or acknowledging the kindness of others. It involves a deep recognition of the value others bring to our lives, whether it be through their time, efforts, love, or support. In a world where materialism and individualism often take precedence, the act of expressing gratitude can serve as a reminder of what truly matters: our relationships, the kindness we receive, and the opportunities we are given. When individuals practice gratitude, they shift their focus from what they lack to what they have, fostering a sense of contentment and fulfillment. This shift in mindset has profound effects on mental health, as studies have shown that gratitude can increase happiness, reduce stress, and enhance overall well-being. In addition to the personal benefits, Gratitude also plays a vital role in creating stronger communities. When people express gratitude for the efforts and contributions of others, it builds trust and mutual respect. Gratitude has the power to strengthen bonds between individuals, whether it be in families, workplaces, or larger social networks. A grateful society is one in which people are more likely to help one another, collaborate, and work towards shared goals. Gratitude creates an environment where individuals feel valued, recognized, and appreciated, which in turn encourages positive behavior and strengthens social ties. However, gratitude alone is not enough to ensure a just and compassionate society. It must be accompanied by morality, the principles that guide our behavior and decisions in relation to others. Morality involves a sense of right and wrong, fairness, justice, and the recognition of the inherent dignity of every human being. It serves as the compass that helps individuals navigate complex ethical dilemmas and make choices that align with the greater good. While gratitude fosters appreciation for others, morality ensures that we treat others with respect, kindness, and fairness. It provides the foundation for ethical behavior and helps to prevent exploitation, injustice, and harm. The importance of morality in shaping society cannot be overstated. A morally sound society is one that upholds justice, equality, and the well-being of all its members. In contrast, a society lacking in moral values can become fragmented, unjust, and devoid of compassion. Morality serves as the glue that binds individuals together, providing a sense of shared purpose and collective responsibility. When people uphold moral values, they are more likely to act with integrity, honesty, and fairness, contributing to the greater good of society. One of the key aspects of morality is empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Empathy allows individuals to put themselves in the shoes of others and consider their perspectives and needs. This is where gratitude and morality intersect, as gratitude often stems from empathy. When we recognize the sacrifices and contributions of others, we are more likely to feel a sense of appreciation and thankfulness. Empathy, in turn, helps us develop a moral framework that guides our actions towards others. It encourages us to treat others with kindness, fairness, and respect, ensuring that our interactions are grounded in mutual understanding. In the context of modern society, where individualism and materialism often overshadow collective well-being, it is essential to cultivate both gratitude and morality. The rise of self-centeredness and the decline of moral values can lead to a society where people are disconnected from one another and where the pursuit of personal gain takes precedence over the common good. This shift can have profound consequences, leading to a breakdown in social cohesion, the erosion of trust, and the rise of conflict and division. For example, the rise of ingratitude in contemporary society is closely tied to the increasing focus on self-interest and material wealth. As people become more preoccupied with acquiring possessions, status, and recognition, they often forget to express gratitude for the things they already have. This lack of appreciation for the contributions of others can lead to feelings of entitlement, dissatisfaction, and isolation. Moreover, without a strong moral foundation, individuals may engage in unethical behavior, exploiting others for personal gain or neglecting the needs of those around them. In such an environment, the values of gratitude and morality become even more important in restoring balance and fostering a sense of community. Gratitude and morality also play a crucial role in shaping personal character and behavior. A person who practices gratitude is more likely to exhibit other positive traits, such as humility, patience, and generosity. Gratitude encourages individuals to acknowledge their dependence on others and recognize the interconnectedness of all people. It fosters a mindset of abundance, where individuals feel content with what they have and are more willing to share their resources and support others in need. When combined with strong moral values, gratitude can lead to the development of virtuous character traits, such as honesty, integrity, and compassion. In contrast, a lack of gratitude and moral direction can result in negative traits, such as greed, selfishness, and arrogance, When individuals fail to appreciate the contributions of others and prioritize their own desires above the well-being of others, they are more likely to engage in harmful behavior. The absence of gratitude and morality can lead to the degradation of personal relationships, the exploitation of others, and the rise of social inequality. In such a world, it becomes increasingly difficult to build trust, foster cooperation, and create a sense of shared responsibility. The importance of gratitude and morality is not limited to personal interactions. They also shape the broader social, political, and economic systems in which we live. In a society that values gratitude and morality, leaders are more likely to act with integrity, prioritize the well-being of their constituents, and make decisions that promote justice and equality. Similarly, in the workplace, organizations that promote gratitude and moral values tend to have more loyal, motivated, and ethical employees. These values foster a positive work environment where individuals feel appreciated, respected, and supported in their professional endeavors. In contrast, a society or organization that lacks gratitude and moral principles can become corrupt, unjust, and divisive. When individuals and institutions prioritize self-interest and material gain over the well-being of others, they are more likely to engage in unethical practices, perpetuate inequality, and exploit vulnerable populations. This can lead to a breakdown in trust, a rise in social unrest, and the erosion of the common good. In conclusion, the importance of gratitude and morality cannot be overstated. These principles are essential for fostering personal well-being, building strong relationships, and creating a just and compassionate society. Gratitude helps individuals appreciate the contributions of others and fosters a sense of interconnectedness, while morality provides the ethical framework for guiding behavior and decision-making. Together, gratitude and morality serve as the foundation for a harmonious and thriving society, one that values the dignity of all individuals and promotes the common good. In a world that increasingly values material wealth and individual success, it is more important than ever to cultivate these values in order to restore balance, promote empathy, and create a better future for all. In today's rapidly evolving world, where materialism, individualism, and a lack of gratitude seem to be on the rise, the importance of gratitude and morality cannot be overstated. These two virtues serve as the bedrock of personal integrity, social harmony, and the ethical framework upon which healthy, thriving societies are built. While the challenges facing modern society may seem daunting, the cultivation of gratitude and the adherence to moral principles offer a path forward, one that can restore balance and foster genuine connections between individuals and communities. Gratitude, as both an attitude and practice, is essential in shaping our relationships and the way we view the world around us. It encourages us to recognize the contributions and sacrifices of others, fosters a sense of contentment, and promotes well-being by shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have. A grateful person is one who acknowledges the value of every interaction, every opportunity, and every act of kindness. By fostering a culture of gratitude, we can create more compassionate and understanding communities, where people are valued, respected, and appreciated for who they are. However, gratitude alone is not enough to create a just and peaceful society. It must be complemented by a strong moral foundation. Morality, which encompasses our sense of right and wrong, guides our actions and decisions, helping us navigate complex ethical dilemmas. It encourages empathy, fairness, and justice, ensuring that we treat others with respect and dignity. Without morality, gratitude could be misused or overshadowed by selfishness and entitlement. Together, gratitude and morality form a balanced and comprehensive approach to living a meaningful life, one that not only promotes personal growth but also contributes to the collective well-being of society. The decline of gratitude and morality, especially in the face of rising materialism and ingratitude, has created a fragmented society where individuals are increasingly disconnected from one another. This disconnection is often fueled by selfishness, self-centeredness, and the pursuit of personal gain at the expense of others. When individuals lose sight of the value of gratitude and the importance of moral conduct, the fabric of society begins to unravel. Relationships become transactional, and the common good is replaced by a culture of individualistic pursuit. To counteract this trend, it is crucial that we, as individuals and communities, recommit to practicing gratitude and upholding moral values. By doing so, we can rebuild trust, restore unity, and create a society where people are more inclined to cooperate, share, and support one another. The rise of ingratitude and selfishness can be mitigated by nurturing gratitude and morality in our daily lives, encouraging those around us to follow suit, and advocating for these values in larger social, political, and economic systems. Ultimately, the cultivation of gratitude and morality has the potential to transform not only our personal lives, but also the world at large. It provides a path to healing and renewal, offering hope in a world that often feels fragmented and divided. When we focus on what we are grateful for, we shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance. And when we adhere to moral principles, we elevate our interactions and ensure that our actions align with the greater good. In conclusion, the importance of gratitude and morality in shaping a just and compassionate world cannot be ignored. They are vital to the well-being of individuals, communities, and societies at large. As we navigate the challenges of the modern world, let us remember that by practicing gratitude and adhering to moral values, we can contribute to a more harmonious, empathetic, and prosperous future for all. Through collective efforts, we can rebuild the foundation of a society where these values are cherished and upheld, ensuring that humanity's most essential qualities, compassion, kindness, and justice, remain at the forefront of our shared existence.